Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today is going to be part 2 of my Myfarog 4.0 series. Today I'm going to focus on character creation. So this is part 2 of character creation. In the last video, I kind of explained through it very briefly, made a couple of interpretation errors or misstatements, so I will go back over those again and correct some of those. But today I'm going to focus on actually rolling up a character, choosing where you place your attributes, or choosing your traits or your skills, and then filling out the character sheet. I'm still not going to go into the combat traits and stats and such because that is going to be a separate video. But without further ado, let's start taking a look at rolling up a character. Excuse me. So, rolling up a character in Myfarog is a system where you roll 2 sets of 3d6 6 times, and then you choose the higher of the 2 rolls. So as you can see here, I pre-done that. I didn't want to sit here and roll all these dice for the purpose of the video, but you can see that the character attributes are not excessively powerful and not weak either. So my first pairing was an 11 and a 10, so I keep the 11. A 13-14, the 14 stands. A 12-13, the 13 stands. A 15-13, 15, 9-10, 10, and 11-11. So you keep the 11. Now, on the character sheet, attributes in Myfarog are listed in this order: Charisma, Constitution, Dex, Intel, Strength, and Will. Now, you don't have to place your scores in order. This is not old school D&D. This is, you can get to choose where you pick them and where you put them. And so this is what I've done so far. Now, I do have 3 points of Haminya. I've been told that's how you pronounce it. So that's one of the corrections from the last video. I do have 3 points of Haminya, and I will talk about how I might expend those. I still have to roll for my character race, birth, pick his or her traits, potentially roll for flaws, and then select from the class roll skills. And that was a correction from last time. I thought they got them all, but actually I just misread it and should only get 6 of that list, which are usually about 8 different ones, so you can give up some. And then train skills if I've opted to pick up any train skills along the way. So I'm going to actually go to the book here and start going through how you roll a character up. So you start with the Haminya, and you have 3 points, and I already showed that I have those written there. And my interpretation of the rule for Haminya, and I'm fairly certain this reads as straight as it does, and it just makes sense. If Haminya is used when a new character is created, which I'm doing, it can be used to buy different advantages to the character. So that's very important. You can spend points on getting an additional trait or additional skill, or choosing your character's class. I'll let this focus quicker, if it will. Let's see. There it goes, sorry. But you can only buy 1 talent on the talents list. You can't buy 3 talents using up all your 3. And the reason why, when I read that, the second time and realized, oh, it's got to be a different expenditure, you could create a very powerful character at first level if they're getting 3 additional talents. All right, they already began with 1. And then if you threw in extra flaws, you might end up with a really powerful character. So you should definitely spend 1 point on an extra talent, but and then you might want to save another point for adding an extra train skill, which is probably what I'm going to do, and then hold off on the last point. All right, because there's really, I mean, to go with extra silver or whatever, I would just hold on to that last point, because you can gain additional points later on, and then you can go back and buy something new. Once you're no longer a starting character, you're, at second level or whatever, and then you could buy another one. So I would hold off on those, expending them at this time. So let's take a look at figuring out what racial background my character could be. Now, you might have a Mythmaster that lets you pick, all right, and that's fine. Or you might, a Mythmaster might tell you, well, no, you have to roll, but I'll give you some flexibility or whatever. I'm just going to roll and see what the character ends up being from the get-go. So an 18, all right, and you could see most likely your characters are going to be human. So my character is a human. He rolled between an 8 and a 20 on a d20, so he's going to be a human. Now what level of human or type of human he is going to be. We roll and an 11. So he's actually a high man, all right? So that opens up many doors for my character being a high man. So I am going to jot that down on my sheet here. And so my character is a Hyman. Now what Hyman means is that his ancestry, he either had Fairling blood, and Fairling blood was like a combination, in ancient times, it was a combination of either a bloodline that was partially mixed with Elvish blood, or mixed with Godling blood, and so being a Hyman, all right, is going to give my character, some advantages here as far as the classes that he can go into, or certainly give him bonuses in character creation in the attributes as well. So we have that settled. Now we're going to go and see what the actual impact is. So let me read Hyman. Descendants of the noble natives of Thulian, they also have Farling blood, and some claim also Elven blood. They are proud, fair, and noble in nature. All right, so so the next thing we have to do is we have to check to see when the character was born. And so we're going to roll a d20 again and see. So a 13 means that he was born during the summertime, so he is going to have a +1 to will. So I will jot that down on my scratch page here. So he was born in the summer. So birth is summer. So that's going to give him a +1 to will. And I'll add that +1 over here for now. All right, now we have to determine the exact time. All right, so we know he was born in the summer month. So there's a chart here for our summer months. I'm going to roll a d6 this time. So here we have the summer months. I rolled a 4. So it's 3 meher, 3 meher, 3 arsh. I guess that's how you say it. So Scotty is potentially his the divine birthday, so he would need to be born on the 13th of that month. So I'm sure somebody will correct my pronunciation of that. But this is the third month of summer. So summer, third month. We roll the day of the week, and that's rolling a D8. So a 2. He was born on a Monday. So I would just come here on a Monday. And now the actual day of the week, I roll a D8 again. And that's a 6. So he was born on the 16th. The 16th. And his deity was the 13th. So unfortunately, he's not going to be marked, which gives him a bonus to fortitude, +1 to fortitude. So he is, just born on that day, but he still keeps the +1 modifier for his willpower. So next, we're going to take a look at his racial stats. So he is a Hyman. All right, and he is a man, and so he is going to get a +1 to charisma, a +2 to constitution, and a +1 to willpower. So we will add those here. So once again, he's a +1 charisma. He is going to get a +2 to con. And moving on, he is going to get a +1 to will. Now his height and weight or size is going to be based on this, but with a modifier or potential modifier. So as a Hyman, he's going to be 6 foot. He's going to be +1. But if I roll a d6, there's a chance that he adds a +1 to that, which he rolled a 6. So his size is actually going to be a +2. So he's a big guy. All right, so but he's at least 6 foot. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me, once again. So he's going to be +2 size, so that's going to have some combat benefits to him as well, and some detriment as well. It makes him a little bit easier to hit with missile weapons, but does give him other advantages. So his base modifiers, if we go here, we can see that anything that is a 13 to a 17 is going to be a +1. And so his modifiers here is he's going to have a +1 here for his modifier. He's going to have a +1 to dexterity, a +1 to strength. So overall, not super massively powerful yet, but we'll see. So we know his race is a Hyman. And we have those pluses, +2 and +1 thrown in there as well. So now that we have his race, we're going to come and we're going to take a look at humans do not get any special abilities. As you can see here, humans don't get any special abilities. They do not get any racial abilities. Their resistances, a Hyman gets a +1, and let's see if I can get that in view here. I barely can. A Hyman gets a +1 to cold and a +1 to disease for their resistances. So that's another aspect I have to jot down here. So he gets +1 to cold and +1 to disease resistance. All right, his age. Hymen start at 21, and their maximum age is Constitution times 6. So a Hymen age 21, so he is age 21. 21, and his maximum age will be his Constitution, which is now a 16. 16 times 6. 60 plus, so 80. 96 years old? Yeah, 96 years old. So he is going to be a really old man if he lives that long. In Myfarog, probably not. But anyway, we shall now move on and we start looking at talents. Now, again, talents are fairly powerful. They set up kind of like a base. So they're passive abilities that usually increase quite a bit. You get to choose one talent right from the beginning, and then using the Haminya, you can add a second talent. And so that's certainly something that I am going to do at this time. One of the talents that I argue is the one that everyone should take is Good Reflexes. It's going to give you a +1 to an initiative and a +1 to dodging. So I'm certainly going to add that talent of Good Reflexes. So I wrote traits here, I meant talents. So Good Reflexes. And that's going to give a +1 any, +1 dodge. Second talent that I'm going to use one of my 2 points here. A second talent, I am going to go with Fighter. And that's going to give me a +1 to melee. Okay. Now, flaws. Do I want my character to have flaws? I can add another talent if I choose 2 flaws, or choose to accept 2 flaws. Sometimes a Mythmaster can allow you to pick your flaws, or they make you roll the flaws. Just for the sake of argument, I am going to roll. I am going to take 2 flaws, and we will roll, and I rolled a 22. And so I go to the flaws table here, and we find a 22. And 22 is dislike. So I dislike something at level 1. There is something or someone, an important individual or species, race, tribe, or the like, that my character dislikes. Test your will against DD8 in order not to intentionally provoke what you dislike into attacking you. All right, so it's a good thing I have a fairly good willpower. So my first one is dislike. And that's at a level 1. My second roll, I rolled a 92. Let's take a look at that. A 92 is going to be stuttering. So my character stutters. So he's going to be a -1 at acting in social skills. Social skills. All right. So now he gets another trait because he took those 2 things. So we'll come back over here, and I am going to take a look and say, let's go with tough. All right, tough will give him a +1 additional to electrical, poison, and a +2 health points. So I am going to take a third trait of tough. +1 electric, +1 poison, +2 HP. That's going to be huge, that's +2 HP. So once you've done that, you're going to go to character roles. Now, as a human and as a hymen, like I said, it opens up many different doors for my character now. I easily have the traits I need to be a warrior. I have more than a 9 constitution, more than a 13 strength, more than a 9 willpower, and my character is a male. So I can be a warrior. I can be a trickster. That's kind of below my class status. I could be a stalker, same thing. Hymen opens me up, allows me to be a sorcerer. Do I have a 13 intelligence and a 13 willpower and the mark talent? No, I don't. So I cannot be a sorcerer unless I took the talent of being marked. All right. But I still don't have the intelligence in order to do it. So I'm still barred from doing that. Can I be a ranger? I'm a hymen. I would take Scotty as a favorite deity, and I was born in the month and practically the week of his thing, so that kind of makes sense. Is my charisma a 13? No, it is only an 11, and so I cannot be a ranger. A civilian as a default, nobody would take that. A bard, no, I can't take that either. So really, I am left with being one of these. Most likely a warrior would be probably the best choice for my character. So I'm going to go with that. He is going to be a warrior. All right, so character role skills. So this is a correction from my last video where for some reason I just didn't pick up on it, that you're going to pick 6 from the relevant CR. All right, so I am going to turn to warriors, and if I don't choose all of these, I can exchange 2 of them for another skill area from a different character role. So if I can get warrior fully in here, you have stamina, seamanship, riding, missile, melee, and acrobatics. So I can choose 4 of those and then give up 2 to take from something else. And that's probably what I'm going to do here. So I am going to take melee, missile, riding, and probably stamina, giving up acrobatics and seamanship, and instead of those I will take something else, perhaps actually let's not take stamina. I am going to take the seamanship. So I am going to, let's start jotting these down so I can remember. So I am going to take melee without a doubt. Melee, missile. I am going to take riding, seamanship, so he's already traveling, and I want to take 2 from something else. And if he's going to be a world traveling, warrior type, I want world lore. So that's costing me 2. Okay, so that's costing me 2. Now, I still have these 2 Haminya, I should say. I can spend 1 and pick up a trained skill that I don't already have down here. Now, the difference between a character role skill and a trained skill is that character role skills, you get additional pluses much faster to doing them, and there's also less of a minus to having done them, like not having them trained. So it's a trade-off. If you want to, if I want to spend one of those extra points to have another trained skill, which I might actually just say, you know what, instead of trading up two of these things, acrobatics and stamina, I could just spend one of those for trains, but I'm going to do something different. I am going to keep that world lore there, and my trained is going to be foraging, because if I'm traveling around, I might have to forage. So I am only going to have one Haminya left, and I took foraging there. So we shall go forward, and let's see what I have here. So stamina. So you actually have to go to, and you should go to each of the skills that your character has, whether they're trained or their role skills, and check them out. So stamina is an attribute that is 8 plus your constitution bonus. All right, so my character's starting stamina is going to be an 8 plus my con bonus. My con bonus is a +1. So I'm going to have a 9 stamina to start. Okay. Health points. So remember, my character has +2 to health points, plus he is a warrior, so he's going to get another +2. All right, so to determine the physical condition of a creature, including player characters, Myfarog uses an abstract system of health points. The more health points the creature has, the more physical punishment it can take before it dies. For player characters, health points is the con. When you see it is uppercase, that means it's the full stat, plus the strength, plus the size. Lowercase means the modifiers. So my character's con is a 16. So I'm going to have 16 hit points just to start off. He is a warrior. He gets +2. He is very large. He gets another +2. And then he has toughness. He gets another +2. So his hit points is going to start at and pretty much stay throughout his adventuring lifetime. All right. He is going to have 16 plus another 6, 24 hit points, which is really quite a lot. So now let's start taking a look at the character sheet, and we'll see how this will begin to transfer over. So here we have the character sheet, and it is recently updated for Myfarog 3.3 4.0. And I can start inputting all of this information that I have here. So character's name and race, his height. I haven't gone in and actually figured out what his actual height is. It's 6 foot plus whatever modifier based on that role, but I know it's at least 6 foot tall. All right, so I could mark that in there. His size I know is a +2. He's a male. His age, so I have his age is 21. His maximum is 96 years old. He has 1 Haminya left. He's used 2 up. His experience is currently 0, level 1. You fill in the stat and then the modifier. So his charisma is an 11. His constitution is a 16. Dex is a 13. Intelligence is an 11. His strength is a 15. And his willpower is a 12. 13, sorry. His willpower is a 13 total. So, oh, he's going to get a +1 there as well. So let's mark these in here. So an 11, a 16, a 13, an intelligence of an 11, a strength of 15, and a willpower of 13. And so the con bonus is a +1. The dexterity bonus is a +1. The strength bonus is a +1, and the willpower is a +1. So there's quite a few pluses there. His CRs is melee. So down here in this column here, you can see his class rolls. Skills is, we'll bubble that in. Then he has missile. He has writing. He has seamanship. He has world lore as a swap out, so it still counts as a character roll, but he expended 2 for it, which means his world lore will be slightly advantaged in its growth above a trained skill. And then he has a trained skill of foraging. Okay, when we go here, we'll see his stamina points. His starting stamina points is a 9. Oh, plus his level mod, so it's going to be a 10. His health points plus the level mod is going to be 25. So he is pretty hardy. He's a pretty hardy character. Let's see, his cold resistance, disease, it's going to be +1 for his racial bonuses. So +1 and +1. Then he took a trait of toughness, which is going to give him a +1 for electricity and a +1 for poison. The only thing he doesn't get is for heat. The base is Constitution bonus, so that's a so his Constitution bonus is a +1. His size, which is a +2, so he's at +3 overall. And his racial mod, I already have it, so he will have +3s across the board. So really, this is going to be a +4, a +4, a +4. His heat now will be a +3. And a +4. So he's fairly resistant to a lot of these effects that he might face in the wilderness. So that's really good for him. I will get into all of these stats later on. So his OVME is his offensive value melee, his offensive value missile, his defensive value melee, his defensive value missile, his dodging, which once again, he has an additional +1 for dodging, plus a dexterity modifier. So I will get into all of that when I go to the next video and talk about the combat system and how it modifies here. And then down here at the end, I can fill in all of the base material, issues that he has here, including his talents, his flaws. I have his class roles up and training up here. But certainly this is where you'll list his birthday, any special abilities that your character might have, languages your character might know, their favorite deities if they have any known spells, their talents, as I mentioned, their flaws, and their birth date is all things that come in down here and impact how the character will be role-played and in some cases what modifiers they have as well. So there you pretty much have it, that this is creating a starting character, and as you can see, just rolling randomly can produce some very fairly good results. They can of course create catastrophic results. I'm sure that going with those flaws, I could have ended up with flaws like blindness or alcoholism or something that really is a detractor to the character. Kind of lucked out with things like just disliking something and having a fairly good willpower, of a 13, I can pretty much avoid having. I still have a +1 roll, so on a D20 I have to roll an 8 or higher in order not to have that dislike affect the way that I respond to whatever that dislike is. And that dislike doesn't have to be something that's I could dislike a type of horse or dislike rowboats or something like that where it doesn't have that effect. Although I think the intent is usually supposed to dislike something that can then respond to your disliking. So I'll think of something along those lines. And then the stuttering. The stuttering is a role-playing aspect that I can incorporate. Maybe my character will have a dislike for anybody who makes fun of him for stuttering, and so then I'll have to make a will check not to clobber them over the head for making fun of him. That might actually work out, pretty well. And that's how sometimes randomly creating a character, you can start to develop an idea of a character just based on the roles that you have, and you learn to work with it. So if you get a character that you think is going to be weakened in some way, try to think of a way to make that something you can work with, and just work through it rather than just saying, I don't really like this character, or this character isn't exactly what I was hoping for, and so I'm just not going to play it. No, play it through. Give it a try, and then if you're really not enjoying the character or whatever, especially in this game here, most likely the character ends up getting killed sooner or later anyway, and so then you get to re-roll a new one. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was instructive, and the more and more you go through character creation, and you'll see it becomes a little bit smoother. This is really the first time that I'm going through and actually rolling up a character. The only parts that I did ahead of time was just rolling up those attributes instead of on my small desk trying to roll 3d6 12 times to come up with the things. I just did that in a box on the side. But other than that, I mean, everything you've seen how a character can come together. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. I do have two additional copies of 4.0 that if you live in the United States, I'm sorry, I can't send it overseas. It just costs too much money. But if you live in the United States, you're subscribed to this channel, you're an active player of Myfarog, and you don't have a copy of 4.0, once the channel hits 1,000, which I'm about, I think, 18 subs away from 1,000. Once the channel hits 1,000, I'm going to do a random drawing of those individuals that respond to that video, and they'll have a chance of winning, a copy. So there'll be two chances to win a copy of Myfarog 4.0, and then I will mail it out to you once you give me that information. And like I said, I want to make sure that you're a subscriber and you actually play Myfarog. So I am going to look at the Myfarog community over on Facebook to see that you're somebody who is actually intent on using the book that I sent to you, because it really is a great game, and I hope that you enjoy it. And there's a lot of modifications to it. Just reminded myself of one other screen I want to leave off with this before moving on. And on the Myfarog site, so myfarog.org, there is an overhaul and upgrade of Myfarog, and this explains all of the changes from 3.3 or 3.4, 4.0, which is just a cover change and some errata. And it explains what was removed and why, what was changed and why. And it really does explain all of the rules. So if you only have 2.7 right now or 3.0 and you want to get into 3.3 or 4.0, this alone will give you some of the explanations of the changes that you can implement because from what I understand, like Amazon was sold out of this already. So it's rapidly becoming harder to get your hands on it, but they have everything here, all of the changes in the all of the changes with both the combat system and just rolling the dice. So big section on moving from rolling 3d6 to rolling 2d to rolling 1d20, or in some cases 2 if you're using your power of will. Yeah, this whole section here. So definitely go to myfarog.org and get an update on everything that has been changed. Some rules clarifications. These are questions that Varg is addressing that he either gets from Twitter, mostly from Twitter, and he's very responsive. I've been tweeting back and forth with him quite a bit on some of these rules so that I understand them a little bit better. But anyway, so once again, thanks for joining. I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. I'm looking to do a play test of this on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Roll20. So if you're interested in jumping in on that, just leave a comment in the comment section, and I will hook you up with an opportunity to play this out. I'm going to do a very short scenario, probably do some character creation as well. So I already have 2 players for certain that are already on board with that. There are 2 players that I've played Myfarog with previously. One of which was the guy who basically broke my game. So it'll be fun to see how his character responds, in this new setting and new system. And he's going to be ticked off that I rolled here on camera. I rolled a Hyman, which he's going to want to be, but he might not actually end up being. And so he'll probably be a little ticked off there if he doesn't roll the same thing as I did. So So there you go, King. Uh, I ended up with a character, you know, almost as unbreakable as yours. But the system is going to test that out and see if this character is in fact unbreakable, as his character had become. So once again, thanks for joining. I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. Remember to subscribe if you haven't done so. Check out those other sites for Myfarog. Certainly, the Myfarog community over on Facebook is another very active community. A lot of great people over there, great players over there, and a lot of people that are creating things on the side as well. So there's a lot of myth mastering going on over there, and a lot of homebrew rules and such that that are really creative and helped advance some of the earlier versions of the game. We'll see if 4.0 needs that kind of attention as time goes on or not. So again, be safe out there. Look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon. You have a great rest of the day. Take care.